So here's how to do these problems where you're supposed to get an absolute value equation and all they give you are 2 points on a number line. So here's our random number line. Let's just give them a couple numbers, like let's make this 14 and make this -9. Some really weird things. So the first step to do this is you need to find the midpoint. Easiest way to find the midpoint is, first of all, figure out the distance between the two. Now I know 0 is in here somewhere. Let's say it's there. So I know I have a distance of 4 here and a distance of 9 here. So that's a total of 23. So the total distance is 23, and I need to cut that in half, which should be 11 and a half. Now you're going to want to remember that 11 and a half, because that will come in handy later. Now to find out where that midpoint is, I have to go back 11 and a half. So I know that if I go back 11, that'll take me to 3. I'll go back 11 from here, that'll take me to about 3, and I have to go back another half. So it sounds like that should be 2.5. That should be the midpoint. Now, as soon as you have the midpoint, you can do x minus that midpoint, x minus 2.5. That's the absolute value part. Now, the equals is the distance each of these solutions is from that midpoint. So that should be the 11.5, because 2.5 up to 14 is 11.5, and 2.5 down to -9 is 11.5. The only trickier part is if your midpoint ends up being a negative number. Let's say we had a midpoint of -6. You're still going to do x minus the -6 as the absolute value, and of course minus a negative means positive. So that's the only time you would have a plus in your absolute value for these kind of equations, is if you had a negative midpoint. So again, you have to figure out your total distance, cut it in half. That is the number that ends up right here. Count back to get to your midpoint. That's what it looks like. There you go.